What's going on, everybody? Yeah, just want to get on here and bring everybody back to now. Appreciate y'all being here and vibing with me for a bit. Yeah, today I want to talk about kind of just applying a lot more, unplugging mental diets, and really just focusing on this new life and really letting the old die, in maybe a harsh way of saying it, but, looking at these things, these feelings, these thought forms, all this stuff from the old man, all these fears and worries and concerns, really allowing those to bubble up, look at them, and then just ultimately just surrender them and let them go. And as I've been doing now, continuously in the moment, this is when you do these things. You don't plot and scheme to do them in the future. It's just really whatever is preventing you from being joyful right now to the max. How happy can you be right now? That's really the question. That's really the kind of the flow I'm continuously moving towards. Is just really how do I experience and realize more and more joy, more and more peace, happiness. High vibe states of consciousness now. And so much of it is realizing that you just really let go of the things that are preventing those attributes from really expressing themselves, because love, joy, peace, happiness, all these are, this is who you are. And it's carrying these bags of bricks, this grief, this idea that you're broken. That's one of the things I'm really letting go of, is this idea that there's something even wrong with me. Letting go of a lot of this shit where it's just like, not good enough, or whatever this mentality is, these beliefs, really bringing those to the surface. And it's not even me or you that brings these things to the surface. It's like everything is really helping this awakening process, and realizing more and more so each day, that everything's just a process, and not to take things with a fear response, or what's tomorrow going to bring. Really focusing on today, and getting out of this research mode. And this is something I tend to do, where because I do handyman jobs. I also do music, but it's like, if I'm doing a handyman job, a lot of times I'll have like an audio book playing in the background as I'm working, or some YouTube video, and it's just like, I just need to just absorb all this shit like a sponge. And recently I've just been more and more so unplugging from the opinions of others, and unplugging from just the world. And it's kind of difficult in my in my space at the moment, because like where I live is like a real is there a lot of politics that are really hitting the radar. And and I don't really anymore. I used to be really into politics, but anymore it's just like I could give a fuck less. It's just, ultimately trusting that God's in control of what's going on in the government, and just, I don't need to put my attention there. Ultimately, putting my attention towards, loving my neighbor, loving God, and raising maybe consciousness, if you can say it like that. Really just letting go of fear, and the consciousness of separation, and really seeing a lot more unity, seeing a lot more oneness. And really focusing on that, and realizing, I don't need to learn anything else. Everything else I'm learning is just like, basically it's like, how many times can I reinforce what I've already know within? How many times do I got to hear this different story out of the mouth of somebody else, instead of just embracing it and just really going on this new journey, and with that, offering I guess what's going on with me to others, as a just signpost, maybe, being the change, be the change you want to see ultimately. And that's one of the problems I get with, like, people in my area. It's like real, like, QAnon and stuff like that. Like, oh, there's some outside force is going to make a utopia for me, and I don't have to do nothing. I just need to sit back and just wait. And I'm not saying that that's even a wrong strategy, because I think a lot of that has to do on your faith. But, with that, realizing that the change starts with you. How can you look out into the world and see, all the destruction, chaos, fear, and all this stuff, and not go within and say, you know what, I'm going to do what I can to make it a better place for me and my family and my kids and other people's kids. I think everybody just wants to feel safe and be happy. I think so much of the illusion, tries to make people like they're just they're scum and everybody's out to fuck you over and this and that. And I've learned through just doing music and in doing a handyman business, most people are good. The majority of people are good, and this like, and the other thing of it, everybody's unique. That's the craziest thing is like there's just an illusion of like, oh, why can't I just be normal like everybody else? It's like nobody is normal. I've never met people, the same person. It's like everybody's unique. There's this maybe this groupthink front that people put up of like, oh, well, this is what I think society wants me to say or act like in this specific situation. But once you get out of that first conversation of like, oh, how's the weather? What do you do for a living? That kind of icebreaker. You start to find out, people are living in their own little bubbles. Everybody is, and it's like the more that you just like you start looking at everybody's just doing the best that they can do, even if that's not by your standard very well or very good. It's like who are we to even judge? It's really getting out of this whole concept of battling your neighbor, warring, and fear and love, all these. This is, to me anymore, it's like God's the only thing that is real, and another way to say that is love is the only thing that's real. And then it might strike up well, that's not true, because there's then start pointing at all these things that we judge as being separate from ourselves and separate from love and separate from God's plan and separate from creation. It's just like it's only ever now. It's like the problem is the linear thinking. The problem is the future. It's like can't be happy now, you're not going to be happy in the future. It's just I get kind of frustrated at times, and I'm getting less and less frustrated. Just because the I don't know, like I don't say the ambition, but maybe the drive to like shake people like, oh, you need to see reality the way I do. I'm really seeing that more as like a belief issue and like a belief I can let go of, because ultimately, it's starting to get into that I'm right and you're wrong vibe, which is something I don't even really care about anymore. So I don't even care to be right. It's just, what does it matter? It doesn't matter. What can we do right now to just enjoy this moment more? That's what matters to me anymore. What can we do to enjoy this life? What can we do right now to do that collectively as a connected me and you at the moment? We're connected in the attention and consciousness, and with doubt, is it possible to let these fears go, these torments go, these oh, I'm not good enough to be happy right now go, and just bury them, and not say burying them within you, but allow them to bubble up, hand them to the Holy Spirit, and be an observer of it and allow it to just die. It's like these things are bringing suffering and torment anyway, and a lot of times you get these maybe even suicidal thoughts, and it's like you don't really want to just cease existing, or oh, I just want to just check out. You just really want the pain to stop. You just want to stop hurting, and when you take a step maybe in the observer role, and you realize that, well, a lot of these are thought forms that are wanting to die, that are wanting to cease to be suffering, and to sit there and observe it, allow it to come up, and let that energy just pass, let it go, and in that, let the old go and embrace the new. The new is what you are, and really keeping that mentality has been really helpful for me of purging a lot of like maybe I don't know, maybe self-destructive or painful types of beliefs, and really letting go of like this concept that I need to do anything. It's like I think a big part of like, oh, I need to continue to I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with evolving your consciousness. I think that's what we're doing, in every moment, declaring who we are now, but in that there's almost a hang up, a stumbling block of like, well, I need to do this. I need to evolve because I'm broken and I need fixed right now. Letting go of that, you realize that Jesus did the work. This is a process of healing now. That's the goal. Is we've all been through a bunch of bullshit. Let's just start healing from this. And let's see how healthy we can be in our minds and in our bodies, and and for others, to look out and be like, well, that person's happy. It's possible. That person's overcome these things. And we got that kind of job for everybody in our bubble, being the change, your life being your faith demonstrated. When things happen, people look towards you, and whether you believe that or not, it's crazy, because it seems it's so hard to know what's going on in people's minds, but really, even, it's like, I don't need to impress anybody. I don't need to, try to compete on that level. But it's just like, what's good for me is good for you. And it's like, do you want to spend the now in your mind being tormented by stories that we tell ourselves, and, ultimately trying to keep yourself safe through insane means? That's part of the problem, is like, the egoic kind of consciousness, really looking at that with a more loving lens, just like, the child in you trying to just keep yourself safe from this fucked up situation. A lot of people were born into a lot of dysfunction and drama and unnecessary bullshit. Like, yeah, it led you to now, which, makes it a blessing on some level, but like, really dropping a lot of those programs, really just going within, examining these things that we think are real, and just becoming more and more self-aware, more and more of, does this belief even serve me anymore? Or was this something that I believe to keep myself safe? Something I believe to keep myself. Maybe you're dealing with some toxic person, some family member, some dysfunction. Who knows? And in your being, where you knew on some level that this is not right, but you buried that, and then instead it's like, well, I guess I'll just walk on eggshells. I'll try to act a certain way, and if I can do that and that makes somebody happy or less triggered, then there's a sense of control that you can start to feel safe, even by modifying your own behavior to manipulate others' emotions that maybe you're doing now, because their emotion goes from baseline to fucking out there abusive, or who knows, some people have dealt with some serious drama and torment and suffering, and have created a lot of these, like, thought forms, these beliefs, these stories, to on some level maybe manipulate the external situation, but not in a way of like, oh, I'm going to do that to dominate and control others. Some just do it just as a, I'm just going to do this to keep myself from feeling abused and tormented by this other, and with that, keeping kind of the oneness in mind still, and not judging the other person. If you're getting abused like by a psychopath, obviously make a move, get out of that situation, but like, if you're looking at it more of like a, I don't know, generic suffering, which is like, the conditional love aspect that we get programmed with, which is another program, but not looking like, oh, I have to through my own righteous deeds and my own mental powers of willpower, then I'll be perfect, and then, oh, God will love me, and letting go of all this shit and realizing God already loves you and you don't have to do anything, that God sees you as perfect right now. And this is just a process of healing so that you can fully feel that way again. Because there was a time, even if it seems very long time ago, where, you'd wake up and be happy naturally as a kid. And maybe that was short-lived for some people, but there's still that part of you that never went away. This might be hiding, in a corner, in this little prison that the ego kind of created to keep yourself safe from danger. And as part of it is not being mad at the ego for doing now, not being mad at yourself for trying to make some sort of a coping mechanism to deal with some fucked up situation. Realize that you just did what was the best option for you that you thought of at the time. But it's a new day, everything is new, and we'll start making moves more in a freedom type of vibe. That's one of the things too that starts to maybe be a trigger for me. Is like, oh, you keep hearing people say, oh, that's not who you actually are. It's like, well, who am I then? It's like, oh, I'm looking at myself, I'm looking inwards, and I see an ego mind, which now I'm sitting there like, well, that's not part of me. So who am I? I'm not this body, I'm not the mind, I'm not this, I'm not this. It's like, who the fuck am I then? You start getting frustrated with maybe spiritual people. I get frustrated with spiritual people, but like part of that is my own dramas and my own things going on, and projecting that onto others, and with that though, looking more and more so as like I don't even need to be fixing myself. That's what it gets down to. I don't need to be fixing myself because I'm not broken. I'm a masterpiece, and God's constantly creating me right now in this moment, and I need to stop looking at myself with this boohoo lens and really embrace a lot of this new, and part of that is not living in total fear all the time. Oh, the phone rings. Oh, it's something to be afraid of. Oh, some random person, has a whatever. Now I'm freaking out about it in my mind. Oh, worst case, maybe someone's going to break into my house. Oh, worst case, maybe someone's going to, when I'm asleep, something's going to happen. All of these fears and worries and concerns, and it's just like, really getting more and more into, I don't need to find the answer out here. I don't need to find some, I found a new YouTuber, they got all the answers and this and that, and they're going to teach me how to be happy. And it's like, we all got the tools already within. It's really just more and more so trusting that inner guidance system, unplugging a lot more, to the, and this is kind of my flow of unplugging, is getting off social media, getting off YouTube, getting away from screens. What the heck was that? Getting away from screens, getting away from watching shit just with my attention that doesn't even add anything. It doesn't add any type of truth or any of this type of stuff. It's just really just being in my life, and being fully engaged in it. It's like I got a handyman business that trying to just focus more on that and focus on music. I got some new guitar strings. Might be putting out some guitar videos maybe today, I don't know. I got to get to a lady's house and do a little checklisty thing. Shouldn't take that long, but I'm not going to do that till after lunch. And then I got another phone call from one of my customers, and so really just being really engaged in my town, engaged with like people in my community, really kind of enjoying that, and not so much paying attention to what's the president doing, what's Fox News say, what's CNN say, what's Alex Jones say, here's something new to be afraid of, now it's this going on. Really getting more back into the mindset I used to carry when I was like maybe, I don't know, early teens. Just paying attention to music related things, focusing on things I enjoy, and not really giving a fuck about the world. And that seems fine for me. I'm not telling you what to do. If you got it in you to shout and make some sort of a stir or whatever, do you. But like for me, I've spent so many years in the rabbit hole, since Bush, George Bush and Dick Cheney, and then you start to look around and go, how long am I gonna play around in the illusion, give it credit and make it like this is important. None of this shit's important. It's just part of the mindset though is letting go of the importance of this external, and trusting God to deal with it. God's in charge of what's going on in the world, in the political arena. It's not the worst case scenario. It doesn't even matter to me anymore. It's like I try to really look at things, being a citizen of heaven, and whatever's going on in the world, hopefully it's a blessing. And part of it too is just knowing that we're all connected. So if you're plotting and scheming to hurt others and try to really me kind of mentality of separation and fear, you're only just doing shit to yourself. It comes back on you because there is no others like that. So it's like, how long do you want to hurt yourself? That's a question you got to ask yourself. But that's kind of the flow of what I'm doing. Keep getting on here to kind of give these updates, and just for the benefit of others mostly. But I think I'm gonna bounce. So I like to wrap these things up with a quote unquote random Bible verse. Nothing's random. God's 100% in control of literally everything, and speaks to us in the moment. And I just want to give him a chance to speak to you, who's ever listening now. See what God's got to say. Matthew 4:4. But he answered and said, "It is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God." And there you go. And with that being said, I appreciate you guys liking, sharing, subscribing. I appreciate your support in the spiritual and in the physical, and I appreciate your attention for this long. I'll try to be a good steward of that, and other than that, I think I'm going to bounce. So until the next now, everybody, have a good rest of your moment, and God bless.